What's up, everybody? We back. We here.
Man.
This is Brown Table Discussions. I am DQ Scott.
And I am Yvette Hernandez. Hello.
What's up? How you doing? All right. And sitting with us today is a very special guest who's been with us before, but not since we've been on YouTube. Now you get to see his lovely face.
Ooh.
The wonderful William Tyler Moore.
Oh, glad you didn't call me beautiful. I was going to say
Hit the round of applause
That's
button.
a no.
I don't have an applause thing yet. We're going there. Word. So yeah, welcome everyone. This is Brown Table Discussions. It's a show where we sit around a brown table and talk about issues with brown people and white people too.
There we go.
Color. Yeah. Everyone's
Happy
included.
2020.
Yeah.
Yeah, happy 2020, everybody.
A new
It's a
year,
Yeah.
new intro song, lots
Yeah.
of stuff.
I
that-
know.
Right?
Yeah.
Just new
We're
stuff.
just
all
leveling
over
up,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah, it was forced.
Damn.
But it was a happy force, thing to be enforced.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
YouTube was like, no, you can't use that song. We'll take your money. And I was like, no, I need it. But now it all works out because then I hit up my boy. Shout out to Aaron Bixby, aka Verb 1, for hooking me up with that beat. And that. So yeah,
Nice.
yeah. I'm sorry you can do
Thank
that
you,
anyways.
Verb.
Make it local, make it ours.
Love that.
Yeah. All right. So yeah, we're gonna talk about some stuff today, and we had spent a lot of time here already trying to get everything together, but we're working hard for you because we care.
First of all,
Yeah.
it's only the first full week of 2020, and it feels like so many things have already happened.
'Cause it
Like,
has
I am
happened.
tired already.
Yeah.
God damn.
Yeah.
Everybody was like, yo, 2019 was so rough, so many deaths, so much crazy shit. And
Yeah.
it's like, oh,
Yeah, we starting new.
2020 was like,
Yeah.
hold my champagne.
Right?
Let me get up in this bitch and show you some real shit.
That's exactly
2020 was like, time is relative.
right. Yeah.
Right?
I'll fit all your 2019 bad stuff into a week.
Right.
Yeah.
Man.
Change your whole perspective.
I was
everybody.
not ready for that. I don't got enough crystals. I've been burning enough incense.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, man.
Hey, hear you. I feel like I should buy myself another pair of wool socks just to feel good.
Right?
You know what I mean?
Man, something.
Yeah,
An
the
electric
world-
blanket.
The world
Like,
needs a wool sock.
Just, yeah.
The proverbial wool
Comfort
sock.
yourself somehow.
there you go.
It's gonna get
Self-care.
worse before it gets better.
Mm-hmm.
All right. I really want to get into this first topic, so talk about things getting worse. So let's talk about some headlines. Sorry, y'all, if that was a little loud. We bumping. Okay. So, words cannot do any justice to this. You have to see it. You have to see it to believe it. But, long story short, there's a group called, they have convention, the 21 Convention. And it is dubbed as, they're a group of men that get together. They're pretty much a group of masculine men who get together. They're very anti-feminist, not afraid to show it. But they say they love women, but they hate feminists. Interesting choice of words. So they normally do men's conferences to uplift men, make them stronger, whatever. They mainly just try to teach men how to be assholes and embrace toxic masculinity. While saying masculinity is toxic, which it isn't, but toxic masculinity is. The proof's in the pudding, Look at the words. There's differences, everybody. Anyways. So they're deciding to do a women's version of this convention, and they're charging $2,000 a ticket, dubbed as the mansplaining event of the year.
Cannot believe this.
And
shit.
so I want to give you guys a little taste. I was like, well, what goes on in some of these places here? Trust me, there is not enough time to show you all the video
No.
and stuff I found.
No.
So I'm going to do more on this, but I will show you some of the ridiculous stuff, at least more when it pertains to women, or at least how how these men view women in a certain sense of themselves, trying to empower themselves. So this man here, I forget his name, and I really don't fucking care. But he is pretty much trying to talk to this group of men about female attraction. So
Shit, I didn't see this.
yeah, so
Why
here we
is
go.
it when a PUA person says, do this, and that there's an attraction response from a woman or a girl? Why is that? So I went down the rabbit hole of why. And that's what I'm going to do here. I'm still looking, by the way. I still do a lot of research. I still practice what I preach. When I go out, I run game.
No.
And I've internalized it to the point where it's just natural. That took years, by the way.
I mean, look at him.
Who
He's
the-
a
I don't think it was
natural.
until about
Got all the game in the world.
2012 when I was going on dates. And people ask, how do you find the dates? Online dating, by the way. I did it a lot. It was time consuming, but it worked.
I assumed he uses one good
So I'm
eye.
still looking for answers on that regard. And I still have fun dating. Okay. Get that to work. Okay, so what I've learned so far in this whole rabbit hole experience, all my study and practice, attraction behaviors are very predictable. This is one of the core elements that I've learned, and I think you all learned. When it comes to attraction, we are very predictable. Tell that to a girl, she will never talk to you again. Because what do girls want to be? Special snowflakes.
Hey.
Okay, we're not special snowflakes. There are common patterns of human behavior.
All right.
And a lot of the talks during this convention are going to be about that, including somewhat of mine. So that's the first thing.
Yeah, so that's the first thing.
First of all,
So that's how we get started up in here. So,
well, damn.
Oh my god.
all right, so I would be remiss to be the only male talking about it. So just to kick it off, just to point it over to you, Beth. Do you have any thoughts on this?
I don't even know where to start. What? So he talks about running game, right?
Yeah.
And how predictable we are. But bro, you have one eye. What kind of women are you, first of all, going on dates with? Are swiping right on you? You know what I'm saying?
He later goes on to say because it makes him. He's like, it's interesting, and the way he presents himself in a manner with authority and being and forcefulness shows that it's interesting. There's something behind him with it.
Man,
I didn't
hell
stick
no.
around. He's like, I'll tell you the story later. It's like, I don't care about the story.
Yeah.
So that's part of it. But that was part of his whole thing. They're trying to show that being a dominant male is actually attractive, and to women they actually enjoy this. You just don't really know that that's what they want, because feminism, modern day feminism, has taught them that it's bad, and that's the problem. One of the leaders was Anthony Dream Johnson. That's the name of the guy who's in charge of this bullshit, who I'm gonna get onto next week. So I have to do a whole episode of this motherfucker.
So much on him.
But his whole thing was he was saying that pretty much the feminist movement is pretty much the pink KKK. They say it's the same thing. They say everything they're doing is the same thing. They're like, but it's funny. He's like, so if I put on a white hood and said I'm proud to be white, I don't see that's wrong. I don't see how these women can get on here and say the female is future and say that they're running things and things are good. How can that be the same? How can that be acceptable? They're hypocrites. It's the pink KKK. So they think that feminism is showing women how to be empowered, and that's bad because they've just ruined the family structure of America and the world. And that's the main problem with our world today, is women wanting to be equal and have rights, which they never have. That's a tough argument.
I don't know, man.
Hold up, but let's back up a little bit.
Yeah.
And Anthony is saying all this as he's wearing a hat that says "Make women great again."
Yes, exactly. So therein lies a dilemma with that. So I mean, it's kind of funny because he's not this guy is actually the most eloquent of most of the people I've seen on there.
He really is.
Yeah,
he actually is somebody that doesn't immediately sort of put off those vibes of what he's trying to do.
Right.
It looks at least a little bit different than some of the
Anthony
other ones that we've
Dream.
seen.
Yeah.
Anthony Dream.
Anthony Dream
Is that his
Johnson.
middle name?
That's his middle name.
made it up.
Dream.
Come on,
I'm
man.
sure it's not that.
Kind
Come
of
on.
probably thinking American Dream or some sort like that.
shit.
Something
He
like
tried
that.
to he's throwing some part of his speech and said I have a dream, some shit like that.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So that's the thing. That was the first part of this guy.
Mm-hmm.
So I have another clip I'm going to show of this guy doing this thing. It's more of his bullshit he has to say. This will give you more of a solid idea of the rawness of where they come from, the ignorant, more ignorant parts of their philosophy. So here we go.
That relates to competence, by the way. if you are dependent on somebody, think about it in a hunter-gatherer way. If you're an able-bodied man and can throw a spear as well as the next guy, and you're hanging out with the women scrounging berries, I mean, number one, you're low down on the totem pole. And number two, you're not good for the tribe. Simple as that. And also, there's a certain gender or sex-based expectation. A man is supposed to be strong and independent, right? And I've been through this in my relationships, and I'm sure you have. You know, you show a degree of emotional weakness, and it's an attraction killer, and that related to neediness. That means you're also a piss-poor provider because you're dependent.
Hold up.
All right, one more example.
Just hold the fuck up. First of all, we talk so much about, like, in today's age, like, we talk about a lot about, like, men struggling with, like, mental illnesses and different issues related to them as young boys being taught to not be emotional, to not show feelings, to not act up upon things like that, right?
Aggressive, anger, violent behavior.
But that's what does lead to this very toxic, often violent behavior as adults, right? Like, so much shit that you've been holding in, then you just unleash it on somebody. Like, it's super unhealthy. So what he's saying is, like, fucking dangerous.
Yeah,
Picking
absolutely.
berries with the women.
They're
low on the totem pole. And
Also,
you're not good for the group.
Also,
What fucking group?
what group are we in? And I don't want to harp too much on, continue to harp on the fact that this guy's got one eye. But if you gave him 20 tries, he couldn't hit anything with a spear, right? That's the point. Like, you are not an able-bodied man who can go out and find things for the tribe, right?
Yeah.
Like, I don't understand what you think of yourself.
All right.
Yo, he's
All right.
a mess.
All right. Ready for some more bullshit? Here
we go.
Anybody? You got to raise your hand.
Caveman. Just pick her up and take her home.
Hunter-gatherer man. Take her home. Exactly. I mean, you know, and again, this is a leadership and confidence kind of thing. You know, and also a leader, and we saw this with Donald Trump. Grab him right in the...
Oh, fuck.
Hey, man, grab him right in the pussy. And what's not known is, where nobody really talks about, it works. He's Donald fucking Trump.
Oh, hell no. Oh, hell no.
Wait, I don't want to miss this key part. Wait how he follows it up with a manly voice like a bitch.
Excuse me. He's Donald Trump. You can get away with that. So a leader can get away with that. Somebody who's not needy, somebody who's, you know, can take care of his own. You know, and it's kind of like a caveman thing. You know, that's directly related.
So you're encouraging men to act upon these impulses, right?
Grab him by the pussy, but it works because he's dumb and he's a man of power, so that's why you do it.
But the guy in the audience who yelled, and it works. Like, really?
That's crazy.
This is terrifying that men are paying so much money to come sit in a room and oh god.
And that they're trying to convince women to pay for the same thing, or to pay for like their men. They also encourage women to have their men come to these things so they can improve their family lives. Mm-hmm. So if you want to end up dead in a ditch or be a victim of gun violence or domestic abuse, here you go.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
There's a $2,000 ticket.
Here's a man for
to
you.
paradise.
Oh,
right?
Yeah. Yo.
Stand outside, pick up somebody.
So yeah. Shout out to Carissa, who a friend of mine on Facebook, and another friend of mine, Lucy, who kind of emphasized more of this story. Because I was going to bring her up, talk about it, and then she's like, I realized she made posts like mentioning something about it, and so it made me think more about it. So I did some more research, put a little more time into it, only to find that because if you watch the trailer for this stuff, it's like it comes like, oh, okay, you know, let's see what you're kind of trying to do, even though you know it's bullshit. It doesn't convey the actual messages that they're saying. You can tell they kind of skim around like they're bullshit, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah, very key to do it. And there's the thing. These are like hour-long discussions of all like more shit like that. And there's hundreds of these out there being put out there, and people are digging it. So yeah,
it's shocking. I mean, I saw the Anthony Dream whatever video for the first time today, and it was just, it seems like a giant rabbit hole kind of community. I mean, he like references different movements that all of the sort of inside the group folks understand.
Yeah.
But leave the rest of us a little curious. You know what I mean? About like, even what are you really talking about here?
Yeah, man.
So, but then it gets explicit and stupid.
Yeah.
So
very stupid.
Yeah, we'll cover more of this, because it's obviously a thing that's ongoing. Especially when I'm thinking more towards especially around the time when the convention.
In
Yeah.
May 1st through 3rd.
Maybe a live
Yeah.
correspondent
Yeah.
from the convention.
Ooh,
Yeah, so I
dun
don't
dun
wanna
dun.
fall- yeah.
Will somebody
Ooh.
please sponsor DQ to go to this conference?
Please.
Definitely.
We need a
I will
we need a,
go,
we need to
right?
set up a GoFundMe.
I will do this.
That sounds amazing.
Yeah. I got the equipment. I'll roll out there. I'll be there for days. I'll give you everything you want and then some.
You need
Trust
backup.
me.
You need to come
Yeah.
with backup though.
I will totally infiltrate this group.
Yo.
I've known enough bros in my lifetime. I speak the lingo.
Yeah,
Bah.
that sounds all right. You can
We
make
do
it down there.
Yeah.
It's
All right,
Orlando.
let's do it.
Who knows though, man? I'm gonna give myself up at some point. I'm gonna get so fucking mad.
Right. Oh my gosh.
Because it's
man.
natural being a human being requires you to go against stupid shit. And that's just too stupid.
Definitely.
Speaking about going against stupid shit. So I'm gonna go about this a couple different ways. Let's talk about Trump. Let's talk about war. Let's talk about impeachment. Let's talk about all that stuff.
Oh boy.
I want to kick this off in some way. That it does suck that we took this action against Iran. I don't think it sucks that Soleimani is dead. It does suck the way we went about it. I don't think it's hard to explain that. Most people think, why are you defending terrorists? Nobody's defending a fuck terrorist. But you don't kill somebody in that manner that's that important in that region with the things that are going on there. A small example that usually works in most things. If you have a hornet's nest, it's up in somewhere in the public. What do you do with said hornet's nest? Do you just take a shotgun and shoot it? No. See who's around, probably get them out of the way, say, hey, we're going to get rid of this hornet's nest. You should probably move out of the way because it's about to get real. I don't know what could happen. Innocent people could get hurt. Tell all those people. Tell your neighbors. Tell the people next door. Tell your people. And then what do? You don't touch it. You get a specialist to go in there and handle that shit right after that.
Right.
And then everything's taken care of. You de-escalate the situation properly. Of course you want the hornet's nest gone, but you don't just go bash it. It doesn't matter. Maybe you lost a brother to a hornet a couple years ago. It's not the point. You don't do that. Stop it with that bullshit. They're defending terrorists.
That's
dying. We don't want to die. That one life's not worth all the thousands of lives of other people who are going to die more so. Especially when you're lying about it, saying you had evidence of things and you know you don't have any evidence. Anyways, this comes about because there's Cardi B made a post about some things, and are we good? Mike's on? All right. Anyways, made a post about some things and about an Iranian who's on the street there, and he pretty much has some choice words for the president and mainly for our countrymen. So I think it's important to listen to because I think this is one of the takes from the people there. Not necessarily about us as Americans, but about the president because they're really pissed off about him. So we'll check this out.
Is this democracy? Are we human or not? What should we do? You tell us.
What is your message to America?
I'm saying we love Americans, but we can't be presidents.
All right. Yeah, all right. You catch that? The audio on that good? All right. I want to play that one more time.
Yeah, that
just in
video is
case.
tough.
Yeah. Sorry, we have technical difficulties, but we're in there.
Is this democracy? Are we human or not? What should we do? You tell us.
What is your message to America?
I'm saying we love Americans, but we can't be presidents.
There you have it. So, I guess when it comes down to all this is, I don't want. Obviously, none of us want to go to war. Obviously, a lot of us want to feel protected. And not that this doesn't make me feel any better necessarily, but it does give me some comfort knowing that these people are recognizing that it's not just us as all Americans. I think it's sad that someone in this position can look at the realness of all this.
Yeah, right.
Yet we as a country are still blind to all that's happening over there. You know what I mean? Even in a deep state of emotion and pain, he still knows it's like, okay, I'm not fighting America. I'm fighting. It's this president. It's not the people of the country. It's this one man.
Yeah.
And so I think it's like super key and very important and what's happening and everything because I think we're still scared as Americans how we're being viewed and happen. Like I tell you what, nobody's traveling right now. Nobody's flying out. No one's going anywhere near there.
Yeah.
And I feel bad for anyone that's already out there.
Oh yeah, absolutely. They put a travel advisory on too for everybody. In basically all the Middle Eastern countries.
Yeah.
And put a lot of warnings out for Americans and Europeans that are overseas there, like everybody leave. Everybody just leave the area. You know what I mean? If you're an American in Iraq, don't be here, basically.
Yeah.
And
Which
that's
should
tough.
have been a warning before
Right?
the bombs went off.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Yeah.
So this is a tough situation. Kind of like in the way that you started, I think there are a lot of people in Europe, in the United States, that are not sad that General Soleimani is dead.
No.
Right?
No.
But the thing that prevented previous administrations from taking this step wasn't the law, and it wasn't the fact that they couldn't find him. They knew where he was. He's been a super public figure for a long time, right?
Exactly.
It was the risks that came along with this sort of action, right? And so you have to, you got to, as the president or as the national security team around him, I mean, to take this sort of step, you would think that you would need to kind of game out what the possible consequences are, right? And just like kind of your metaphor of the hornet's nest, right? There's not a lot of sort of objective intelligence that's going to tell us what's about to happen, right? I think, the folks in Iran, folks in America, I mean, we're all on pins and needles. You know what I mean? Waiting,
everybody
right?
is,
Waiting to see what all of the consequences that kind of spill out of this are. And if you watched CNN or you watched, any kind of news organization for the last couple of days and you saw the outpouring of support in Iran during his funeral and in Iraq, right?
Yeah.
I mean, there were more than 1 million people that flooded the streets for that funeral. Can you think of a person where 1 million people would show for their funeral in the United States? I mean, Barack Obama probably, right? I think that list is one person long. And you'd say maybe, right? That kind of groundswell of support, I think, should indicate that there's likely to be really, really long-term reverberating consequences of this, right? Maybe many of the people who are eventually, or I should say, are going to visit the worst sort of retaliation on America might not even be in the Iranian regime right now, right? It might be sort of like an ISIS story, where 20 years from now, a lot of the kids that watched this, you know what I mean? Like, form a coalition and they decide to do something.
Because this is affecting them. This is what they see now. I didn't realize he started a new generation.
Exactly.
Shit.
And that's
we came so close. And the worst part is, like, especially when he came out. So you saw, like, the speech he gave afterwards, his briefing, which had provided no information whatsoever.
Right.
It's interesting how he started off. He's like, Iran would not have any weapons of mass destruction. As long as I'm president, Iran will not have any weapons of mass destruction.
Yeah.
But it's like, you fucking idiot. They didn't have any to begin with. They didn't have any in the first place until you took away the fucking Iran and the nuclear deal that Obama made because you got some weird fucking hard on for him because you can't let it go. The fact that he made fun, he did some dinner. Your ego's so fucking fragile. You're literally ready to burn the rest of the world because he fucking clowned you at a roast for a couple minutes.
That's exactly right. And he says so many things in there. I mean, he keeps bringing it back to Obama, right? Like the money that was released for the nuclear agreement.
That was already their money anyways.
That was already their money. That was actually...
So we didn't lose the money. We gave them the money that was theirs.
And I want to be clear.
We just held on to it.
There's two pots of money there that got released, right? One of them was frozen Iranian assets that were frozen because of their nuclear program, right? And when they agreed to halt their nuclear program and roll back some stuff that they had done, those funds got released back to them. The second one is a $400 million. It's 1.2 billion, but it started out as a $400 million settlement because Iran bought a bunch of weapons from the United States before the Shah got overthrown in 1979, and then they had the Iranian Revolution, took the hostages in the American embassy, and we essentially they paid us, and we never sent them the weapons because they overthrew their government, and we were like, we're not going to send you a bunch of weapons now, right? So it was $400 million that ran interest for 30 years and turned into 1.2 billion. That it was their money that we owed back to them, that we took from them and gave them nothing.
The key point being is that you can tell Trump has this bullshit like, I'm gonna make a better deal. This fucking deals.
Well, in the line,
and it's like, but it's like we already had a good deal, and you messed it up just to have your ego put it up on there. The whole point is now all the stuff that's happened over the past couple months. Especially the thing is, a lot of people are forgetting a lot of this stuff is like leading up to it. Like when that boat happened, when there was like a missile attack on a boat, Trump's like, Iranians did it. Like, no, we didn't. That drone got shot down. He's like, the Iranians did it. It's like, no, we didn't. He's been pushing for this for a while. Not to mention the tweets and all that other stuff about like Obama's gonna start a war with Iran and all that other stuff. I'm sure a lot of people know about that already. But there's been events happening for the past year or two that you can tell Trump's been kind of itching towards it. He doesn't quite have enough. And then you could tell he said, screw it, I'm just going to go for it. Because he's been trying to do this for a while. I just couldn't quite find a way to justify it. And finally, this one at his wit's end, probably going to get impeached, needs something to deter everything, all this stuff. He's like, what's the perfect thing? It's like exactly what he said was. Because in his mind, him admitting that before, obviously in his mind sets a tone that how would you get out of this?
Yeah.
This is what I would do. The problem with Trump is that every evil thing, he thinks everyone is as evil as he is.
Mm-hmm.
He thinks
he thinks everybody's a liar too, right?
Yeah.
Like that's I think part of the reason he's willing to operate his life that way.
Yeah, I was like, what's talking about this?
Yeah, like he definitely thinks that everybody is as bad, as sort of morally bankrupt as he is, and so it's it's free game. You get to do anything you want there.
So can we talk about what happened today, right? So the House lawmakers voted 224 to 194 to approve a resolution curtailing any future military operations against Iran by the president. Mm-hmm. How did that come about, and what does that actually mean for the near future?
Right. So it's kind of weird, you know what I mean? When you think of the constitutional setup of law, the Congress has the unilateral power to declare war, right? Mm-hmm. And we're not really supposed to go to war without congressional approval. However, the president is the chief military officer of our country, right? Yeah. And so he has this sort of unilateral ability to be able to react to threats in the moment, right? Yeah. And the problem with that is those two things aren't always very cohesive, right? So a really good example is the Korean War in the 1950s. President Truman sent a bunch of troops to Korea. They fought an entire war for 5 or 7 years. They never declared war in Korea. Congress never declared war. Wow. He called it a police action. Yeah. That's what he called it. And they did some tricky things like taking certain amounts of troops off of Korean soil for like a couple hours every 30 days. Like not everybody, but some people put them on a boat.
To get around the loopholes.
Yeah, right. To just like be tricky about it, right? And so the question is, what does that resolution really do, right? It's, you could probably make the case that Congress has at this point prohibited the president from starting an all-out, like, ground conventional war against Iran without notifying Congress first and without some sort of action by them. No. But it really doesn't feel like in practice it prohibits him from much, right? Because you could send loads of troops to Iran, you could send loads of troops to Iraq, you could just call it something different, right? You could call it some sort of a special forces engagement or a training exercise, or you know what I mean, like where we're supporting other troops in the area. You could call it lots of different things. Yeah. And so I think it's probably more symbolic than it is practical, you know what I mean, in kind of passing that resolution. But I do think it's really, really important to put a president who's used the military, to either distract from some domestic issues that are going on, or at least in a way that people view as pretty potentially dangerous or really explosive in a situation. And so I think it is important. I don't know how much it would give this president pause before he does something else, right?
Yeah, he's a psycho.
Yeah, but it would give other presidents pause, and that's generally what it's
future precedent.
Yeah, exactly. Right. That's generally what it's for. So,
yeah, I mean, what's the point? I say that only in the sense of like how good is that? Because everything else that's happened along with that was especially with earlier administrations. Some of those people still in office now, they don't even follow that. Yeah, I mean, how much I could pull tape for this show all day. With Mitch McConnell and Lindsey Graham and all these other yahoos lying through their ass, about how they feel and what they think when like 20 years ago they're saying the complete opposite of what they're asking. Things that they said in the place, being like the ultimate hypocrite.
Absolutely.
So it's like, what? So you just going to put this in here? Like, so this stuff's going to happen until someone can conveniently walk around and say they don't believe in it, I mean, it's only as good as the heart and soul of people protecting it, Like, that's the only thing that written law is good for. Yeah. But when people are unwilling to follow, it's like, then okay. Then what now? Because obviously Mitch McConnell is fucking loose cannon right now. And I don't know how there's not a system in check to put this motherfucker out. Because he's obviously doing bad and wrong, single-handedly. No man should have that much power the way he's using it. Yeah. So that's like, okay, can we fix his seat? Can we fix his position? Because no one should ever have that in the future again. Because he's running wild, man. It's obviously going against the will of the American people willingly. And he's getting away with it. I'm like, okay, can we stop this? Like, how is that allowed? Like, that's the thing. So there definitely has to be some changes. Well, that's the only thing. Like, what good is the change if people still won't follow it?
Right.
Or even worse, won't even enforce it.
Won't enforce it. Yeah. I think that's the biggest thing.
That's what at that point I start to worry about establishment Democrats and their bullshit. Like, y'all ain't even done anything for years. You just let them walk all over you because they don't give a fuck because they know you're not going to do anything. That's why they do it, because they know you won't take a step. They've been doing this for years.
That's right.
They're calling it out. They're even calling you out on it, making fun of you, like children. You know what I mean? Like playground stuff. It's insane as far as politics go. All right. I guess we could try to lighten it up a little bit.
Just a little bit,
Just a tad bit.
right?
A tad bit. I'm gonna go off on something real quick. We can all kind of group discuss it. But so for one, congratulations to my man Vince Carter,
Yeah.
first player in NBA history to play within 4 decades. That is insane. Play within 4 decades, and a lot of people are excited about this because that's like rare. Like that's what is it? 22 seasons?
Yeah, 21, I think.
21?
This is his 21st season.
Okay.
The end of it.
Yeah. Dang, man, that's insane. Yo.
So what I'm doing,
Right.
my man's in them is doing. Because
Right.
that's my man's in them. You know?
Yeah. So, seeing how Vince Carter's my man's, I think he deserves an award. Could you get the interview career? Things should be right for you. Except there's a big argument going on around the world. I don't understand where this comes from. Maybe it's because it's weird because normally it's like maybe he wasn't flashy enough or something like that. Quite the opposite. This guy was all flash. He was amazing, amazing, half man, half amazing. Do you think that Vince Carter deserves to be in the NBA Hall of Fame? Now, of course, I'm saying yes. Obviously, how I'm talking about. Most people are saying no.
Unbelievably enough,
Because
right?
he's like, well, it doesn't matter if you play for a long time.
But does it? But does it really?
Kind of does, but you do
Kind
that good.
of does.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
So to state my argument, I'll just point out a couple small facts. All these years in the NBA, what is it? 8 All-Star appearances, I believe. 1 Olympic gold medal, which very rarely anyone can say they've ever done. Keep in mind, also in said Olympic game, he jumped over like a 7-foot Greek dude.
Yeah.
Not just like he over him and dunked on him.
Over his head.
Yeah, he didn't scrounge down. He didn't put the hands on. He jumped over him, leg spread, bammed on him. One of the greatest things I've ever seen in a long time.
Greatest things.
In the top 20, when the top 20 and 25
I think he's
scorers.
number 20 exactly on the all-time scoring list. So 19 people ahead of him all time.
Of all time.
Right.
Countless probably players of the weeks, all these other things like that. Rookie of the year.
Not to mention the 2000 dunk contest,
the
right?
greatest dunk contest of all time.
I mean,
the greatest dunker in the dunk contest of all time.
Yeah. Might have been
Yeah.
the greatest single show I've ever seen in the dunk contest.
So why would people not want him?
I honestly do think, going back to that
he hasn't won a
longevity,
championship. But
he hasn't won a championship. He hasn't won an MVP, right? Hasn't won a scoring title or a defensive player of the year. You know what I mean? There are a few things there that are off his resume. But I do think people hold against him that, the notion that he played for a really long time and the back half of his career looks different than the front half of his career, right? And so the first 10 or 12 years, I mean, he's a 20-point-a-game scorer. He is the leading
an
option
arguable
on his
point
team.
to him to get in,
right? Yeah. And he transitioned for a while into a really good number 2 option, and then eventually into kind of a role player off the bench, like mentor for younger players.
Shaq
did that. But so I really do think that folks look at his body of work and they see those outstanding years in the beginning, right? And they don't feel like he kept that going as long as maybe some other players or as long as he could.
Yeah, I feel like people do this with everything, which is kind of the funny part. That's the kind of thing I thought about because it's
like the "what have you done for me recently" kind of argument, right? Like it's like that kind of a feeling.
I mean, it's like because I thought the same thing. It's like, well, he's been around a long time. What was he doing? That's like, there's been I don't know. Has Wu-Tang ever won a Grammy?
Yeah, really good point.
I'm sure they've won a lot of an insane amount of hip hop awards, and maybe probably like a Mark Twain award or something like that. I'm sure they've individually probably Riz has got something like that.
Yeah,
but a lot of these guys have been around forever, longevity. So it's like, what you telling to me they couldn't be along like. That doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
It's like, should they not be in the Musical Hall of Fame of some sorts like that because of that?
Right.
It's just the argument doesn't make sense.
Yeah, like the championship is the thing that holds him out. It does.
Yeah, it's weird how we put value on artists or athletes or anything else like that as far as their greatness goes.
Yeah.
Based off of I guess that ultimate, I'm sure there's musicians in certain halls of fame that have not necessarily won a prestigious award.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I guess how important is it to be the best one year, right? If that really matters, then you know what I mean? Dwight Howard, there are lots of players that you know what I mean? That didn't persist in terms of their career, sort of that career arc, but they were really good 1 year, right? And so that, for some reason, I'm supposed to really, really care that you were number 1 1 year. I don't really care. I want to say one more thing about Vince Carter, though. to me, one of the more important legacies that he leaves is that we have a team in Canada.
As I was gonna say that he built like Canadian basketball.
Right when Vince Carter,
Air Canada.
Exactly. He was that was one of his nicknames was
yeah.
Air Canada. When Vince Carter started on the Toronto Raptors, we had 2 teams in Canada.
Yeah.
One of them was the Vancouver Grizzlies.
Yeah.
You remember anybody who played for Vancouver?
Yeah, exactly.
No.
Yeah, big country.
Right. And
Reeves.
Brian Reeves.
Yeah.
And then the Toronto Raptors, right? Vancouver left to Memphis.
And I
mean,
wasn't
like,
wearing no Raptors jersey.
yeah.
Dork.
Yeah, exactly. But Vince, I mean, Toronto would have gone, the Raptors would have gone the same way as the Vancouver Grizzlies. They would have been another team that
made
just
them
moved
cool
on.
because they was like, I want to be like Chase McGrady and
Right?
Vince Carter.
Moved.
That's exactly
He
what
did.
happened, yeah.
That he put them on the map. And if you watch, I mean, you watch their games, you watch anything, like the actual fan support that they have out there is amazing.
Well,
And
It's
it
really dope.
and it turns the NBA into a tire, you know what I mean? One other country that we wouldn't have in terms of viewership there.
Watch, we're gonna do this. This is what
A cultural ambassador. That's what I call him.
This is.
There you go.
I find this interesting because I think this is what they're gonna do to Damian Lillard.
What are they gonna do? Ship him to Canada?
I think they're gonna I think they're gonna dog on him, man.
Better not.
I bet you they're gonna argue. Oh, he doesn't deserve nothing. He doesn't deserve the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
But I bet you like
Because he
people-
played in a tiny market and he didn't win a
I'm
championship.
not saying we can't win championship, but let's be realistic. We probably won't.
Probably won't.
In a lifetime.
we
that he's
will.
played. Yeah, I'm sorry,
Yes, we
but I'm
will.
being real. You know.
Come on.
Anyway,
Come on, Blazers.
But I was saying if he doesn't, like, I don't want them to disrespect him off the side. But I can
Yeah,
feel
true.
it happen, and I was like, yo, man, they're gonna dog my boy Damian. Don't do that.
Yeah, that'd be bad.
It's interesting because I think Claude Drexler would make it, and everyone's like, well, he's one of the greatest players. But I think Damian Lillard proved he's a better player and put up better numbers.
Right?
Better than Clyde Drexler, but people would say no to him being in the Hall of Fame.
Who would you rather take? If you're starting your team today, you take Clyde Drexler, you take Dame.
Damian Lillard.
I do too.
Yeah.
I take Dame over Clyde every time.
Yeah. No offense.
Yeah, I mean Clyde was the Glide.
I don't want
but-
to. I don't
yeah,
want.
I don't want-
Legendary,
I don't want y'all coming at me.
Yeah.
Don't come at me.
Yeah, right? Come on. Old Portland folks, don't
Yeah.
send letters.
Alright,
Like-
you
Oh, they're coming.
Yeah.
You're not on YouTube talking about Clyde.
yeah, right.
No.
Not what I meant. Just love Dame.
Yeah. Oh. All right. All right. Let's kick it forward a little more because we almost been out of time. So I'm so glad we're here because we got a lot of legal stuff to cover.
Oh man.
Yeah. Kevin Spacey.
Oh.
Kevin Spacey.
Fucking Kevin.
Kevin Spacey's off the hook for some of his molestation or rape allegations. Conveniently, because the people involved have died. They have passed away. Not necessarily. One of them, it's apparently it's a health complication thing. So it's like, well, he's kind of already gone, but still, something very sketchy about this. I only say sketchy about this because of the video that Kevin Spacey put out around the time that this happened. You're like, oh, that was stupid. That was some year ago. Yeah, it was some year ago. Well, a year ago. But like the previous year, 2018, whatever. This is from recently, from 2019 at the end, because he put out another one that's even more eerie. And you might please have to tell me like if we could do something with this because this can't be right.
I'm already getting
All right.
goosebumps.
Here he comes. Oh my God.
You didn't really think I was going to miss the opportunity to wish you a Merry Christmas, did you? It's been a pretty good year, and I'm grateful to have my health back. And in light of that, I've made some changes in my life, and I'd like to invite you to join me. As we walk into 2020, I want to cast my vote for more good in this world. Ah, yes, I know what you're thinking. Can he be serious? I'm dead serious. And it's not that hard, trust me. The next time someone does something you don't like, you can go on the attack, but you can also hold your fire and do the unexpected. You can kill them with kindness.
What was the
What is
point? Oh my
happening?
God, I'm so uncomfortable right now. I'm
What?
so uncomfortable.
I don't
Hey!
No, that was too much.
Okay,
Oh,
so
man.
I'm sorry.
Oh, that was so eerie.
Can we? All right. Can you
Wow.
use this in the court of law? Can this somehow can you somehow be like? Can this at least be grounds to open up more of an investigation or something?
Oof.
You
A
know,
foul play or something? Because that's insane.
right?
The
That's
timing
crazy.
is a little too crazy. I can't say it's coincidental.
Yeah.
There's a lot. I don't know. That's a lot.
You know, I think you'd have a difficult time with that because he's acting, right?
an
He's
actor,
pretending
right.
to be another character, and so you can't really ascribe those words exactly to him. But it is. I mean, it's one of those things that I think if you had a pile, you know what I mean, of kind of circumstantial evidence about like what's going on there, you could definitely add that to the pile, and I think it'd be pretty persuasive. I mean, if you were sitting in a jury box,
hell no,
and they played you that, right? I mean, that's honestly what you have to do.
It's the thing. It came out after the people passed away.
Okay,
Yeah.
So you know it won't be used. So it's like, well, might as well put it. But the timing.
Yeah.
So here's some things to consider. One, it's not a sponsored video, right? So it's not like a brand or a sponsor made him put it out. Like he came up with this idea. He hired a production crew. He got dressed. They did his makeup. Like so that he could put this video out for what?
Yeah.
To keep him relevant, to get some clicks, for what, right? Like think about motive. Why did he do this?
When you're a psychopathic narcissist.
Because I feel like he's low-key a psychopath. Yeah.
Gotta be, right?
And also, like, I used to love House of Cards, so, like, this just was a little much.
Yeah.
A little much.
You're gonna think about it every single time you watch anything with Kevin Spacey in it now. I'm not watching anything with him anymore.
I can't.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Which is terrible. One of my all-time favorite movies is Usual Suspects.
I know.
Right? Like like Benicio del Toro, Kevin Spacey. Oh my gosh, so good. Can't suggest it to my friends who haven't seen it now.
Yeah.
No.
I'm not saying
You should see another movie.
I'm not saying you, like,
Usual
you
Suspects.
can't.
Any other movie.
Or
Anything
watch it
else.
in relation and see if you can relate it to him. Because some people, it's like he just plays his characters a little too close.
Yeah,
If you
definitely.
want another character study, then see
I
how
mean,
crazy it is,
honestly,
see how real it is, you probably check that
What
out.
I would say about that video is you'd have a tough time getting that thing into a criminal court, but that's what they make civil trials
Civil
for,
courts for
right?
it.
And the civil case for him is still ongoing, even with some of the folks who have passed away. You know what I mean? You've got like some possibilities of like your state kind of intervening on that case and keeping it alive. If I was a civil attorney and we were putting on that kind of case against Kevin Spacey, you better believe I'd be doing everything I possibly could to get that thing in.
Hell yeah.
Right? Because it is. I mean, it's creepy to a
So
T.
creepy. Oh, God.
Right? Why? What does he gain from that?
That's what I'm saying. Like, why would you even?
Yeah.
Who wrote the script? Did you write it? Obviously, he wrote it. But, like...
Unless he's just trying to really like stick it to everybody,
just
right?
troll?
Just troll.
He is trolling,
yeah.
just like, look at me getting away with it.
He's
Yeah,
a
like, I'm getting away
habitual
with stuff.
line stepper.
That's just man.
All right. Let's roll through the show. We only got maybe 15, 20 minutes left, so let's get to a couple things. Got some more stuff to talk about. Okay. Another rant of mine today. This is DQ rant day.
This is what happens when we take a break.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I got a lot of shit to talk about.
Man.
2 weeks of rants.
All right, I'll make this one kind of. Well, we could just go off. It doesn't matter. We don't have any fucking rules. 50 Cent is getting on my goddamn nerves.
Ugh.
So
Talk about
50 Cent is trolling. So is Finch. A lot of people are. It's trolling Finch Montana over buying a used Bugatti, and that's not the news for me. The only thing I want to talk about this is what the fuck. Why is 50 Cent so petty?
Right?
To like talk about this stuff. We got shit burning. We got people like going to war. Countries on like Puerto Rico's got earthquakes, stuff like that. They're trying to recover. People are hurting right now. The black community needs like guidance and leadership, especially people in solid positions, someone that's in a position of power and influence, such as 50 Cent. And this motherfucker's spending his time trolling people buying used Bugattis.
Being petty as hell.
You gonna troll me? I have
petty.
a used Volvo. You gonna troll me?
Yeah.
Some other people got used cars. We ain't rolling like that. We're not kicking like 50 cents. So we're all a bunch of fucking chumps.
Yeah, right?
You could be doing something better for the community, better for the world, and he's spending his money on time trolling people, acting like a fucking dick.
Yeah. This is how you want to live
This is
your
the most
twilight
I've ever
years.
cursed on this show. I'm proud of myself.
Like, come on, man. I mean, that's just a waste of your time and everything that you put into yourself and all your work. You know what I mean? Like, it just seems like it's useless. You know what I mean? It's
I was hoping after the Nipsey thing, like there'll be a spark of sorts. At least, even if he's gonna do this, have something on the side. Just inspire. I don't know, man. Just like, you didn't have to even be money. Just use your influence. So, like, you obviously have a lot of influence. A lot of people pay attention. Like, he's paying people.
Yeah.
He's just making fun of people.
right?
Yeah.
Over rich people stuff.
Absolutely.
Which I still don't see the humor because I'm not rich. I don't get it.
Yeah.
I fairly see the humor in this. Just spend your time doing something better. There's a lot of other motherfuckers, but like him in particular because he's so petty.
Yeah.
But also, like, at this point, I feel like he's ruining his own reputation, right? Because, like, you know, when he first came out and even years after, like, he did have a good reputation as, like, a solid artist. You know what I mean? He was putting out quality stuff. Doesn't he own, like, a production company also where he puts out, like, movies or something?
Yeah, I think
like,
so.
he was doing a lot of entrepreneurial things. And so people have respect for him. But now it's like, you are just that troll at this point. You're just that guy who's gonna make jokes about other people. You're like the ultimate hater with a platform, right? Because you've got millions of followers, subscribers, etc. Like you can sit at home and troll people for entertainment. You know what I'm saying? Like, and it's kind of fucked up that he's ruining his own reputation that way.
I feel like this is gonna lead to him dying old and lonely.
I was gonna say, isn't he getting kind of older? Like maybe the lesson here is
like
that
it's gonna be harder for him to find his real relationship. I don't know, family members maybe because of money, but I feel like he burns probably. He seems like the kind of motherfucker that would burn his family over some money. Like,
he just turned into like the bad uncle that like terrible thing. Like no amount of money and fame and like swagger or any of that stuff will keep you from eventually aging into like the old troll uncle that just hates on everything.
At least my uncles like
why?
that would give me some advice and talk shit while I smoked weed with them. You know what I mean? They weren't that bad. They weren't that petty.
Oh yeah.
Maybe that'd been a childish at moments, but we weren't that petty.
Yeah, let me take this opportunity to apologize to my Uncle Jerry. I don't view you that way.
I want to apologize to any uncle who fits the category of what I just said, but I didn't name names, so we good.
Yeah, true.
But we know who we are.
Yeah,
everyone already knows who they are. It's family.
Come on.
You already know who I'm talking about. People related to me were like, "Oh, it's Uncle so and so." Now I was talking about Uncle that person. But that one applies as well. Shout out to all my uncles and aunties and all my family, keeping me in line. All right. Anyways, anybody else got a rant? Anybody who you mad at somebody right now? Are we getting it all out of our chest? Anybody else? You just like, what the fuck? What's wrong with you?
That's a really good question. Yeah.
I feel like I'm always mad at somebody. I'm just trying to think. I'm mad at the fact that I don't know how to use TikTok. Have y'all used TikTok?
I'm not, you know, I will trauma saying. I'm just
so
like,
old. Can we just talk about this?
Yeah, I don't feel like I should be even attempt to try.
Yeah, right.
So I downloaded it because my niece and nephew keep talking about TikTok, and a lot of the kids that I work with talk about TikTok. So I downloaded it. I never used it. It just kind of sat there, and one day I opened it up. My niece and nephew had somehow gotten my phone and made videos. They're 7 and 8, and my daughter's 2. I kid you not. There's like a video, and they're like, "Follow me, follow me." My daughter's 2 years old, talking about follow me, follow me, and I'm like, "What?"
This is more advanced than me already.
Right?
Yeah.
But they're like using like the different filters and stuff. Like they're really making TikTok videos, and I was just like, "Oh no, I don't understand the purpose."
Yeah.
I don't know how to use it. It's like too complicated for me. Like Instagram is just fine.
It should be easy just to like film a quick video and throw it on there with a couple options.
So it's like the new Vine, basically.
Yeah,
right?
That's exactly
but
what it is.
people are like getting paid off of it. People are like influencers on it, just how it is like on Instagram, right? But now it's like TikTok is like the new platform to like be on.
Definitely, man. It's what they. I mean, it like all the kids in our program. That's like what they talk about.
That's
all
what I'm
the time,
saying.
right? Like everything is TikTok right now.
I had a client hit me up the other day. He's a marketing client. He hit me. He was like, "Yo, I need a TikTok campaign, and I need to buy some follows." And I was like, "What?
Yeah.
What are you talking?"
I'm
about?
sorry. Say those words to me in English.
Right? Like, okay. I'm not sure what to even respond to, but I guess I need to just learn it so that when people say things like that, I know how to respond. But that shit just throws me for a loop.
Yeah, it is, man.
Man, it's wild. All right. We'll find something to get angry about. There's plenty more on this list. Actually, I do have. I'll save it for the angry part of the show. But the funny angry part of the show. So, moving the show forward, we live here in the state of Oregon. And, of course, living here in rain and whatnot, we have a lot of confusion. We break it down in a segment we call Organized Confusion. Yeah. All right. This is more of a PSA. Because there wasn't too much happening. And I kind of want to do some more local politics stuff, but I don't think we'll have enough time. But I kind of figured I wanted to cover some things since we're off the past few weeks that some people may have missed. A lot of that being a lot of new laws around the state of Oregon and Washington that are happening that I'm sure a lot of people don't know about. I like y'all to be informed because I don't want y'all to get caught slipping. You know how the city likes its money. They get you for everything, you know what I'm saying? If you're like, I want to spend my money. The state of Oregon's like, nah, I want to spend your money. What you got in my 40, homie? I want to spend Red's money. So don't get deboed by the state of Oregon by avoiding these things.
Don't.
So, state. To start it off, let's see. Plastic bag ban. That's also in effect right now. So remember, if you're here and you want to go to the grocery store and you want to walk away with all your goods, unless you feel like paying 5 cents per bag, you're encouraged to bring your own, which I think you should do, because even if you get the ones that pay for those shit, those fall apart in 2 seconds. You can lose all your stuff in the parking lot.
Definitely.
Or before you get to the steps of your door. And then it's kind of slightly done on purpose. So yeah, make sure you bring it back to the store. Trust me, the people do this all over the world. This isn't a new concept for a lot of people. We're just so lazy. People are like, I need them for garbage bags. Well, what garbage bag? No, you don't. No, you don't.
Wait, but the first couple days were hell at the store. I remember I went to the store and like the lady that worked there was walking around with a big ass stack of bags in her arm, just being like, did you, because if you do self-checkout, they don't just have them there, right?
Yeah.
And she was like walking around like, did you pay for a bag? How many did you pay for? Oh, well, I need you to go back to the screen and show me. Oh, you got one? Oh, here you go. No, you said 2? Okay, hold on. Like, it was just so complicated. And then she started arguing with another lady who was like, I had never heard about this, blah, blah. And then she was like, well, ma'am, there's been signage everywhere for months.
People
like,
don't read signs.
what are you talking about? I'm not paying for, okay, well, then you don't, ma'am, you have 2 things. It's like a toothpaste and a toothbrush. You don't need a bag. What are you mad about?
Yeah.
Like, it was just so extra. I think now maybe they have it down a little better, but the first couple days, I was just like, yo, seriously, people, like, grow the fuck up.
Yeah. You gotta get
It's
this
not
figured
that
out.
deep.
Totally.
Right.
That kind of goes along with the whole thing from earlier, the toxic masculinity thing. It's like some men see it as effeminate, like doing you bring your own bags, little bitch. You can just fucking wreck the environment like I am, like an ignorant fuck.
Right.
Because apparently being thoughtful was ignorant and stupid. Running for your motion, picking berries. Anyways, I'm still mad about that. So yeah, just bring it back, everybody. It's not hard. Bring a backpack. I'm sure you'll have it. Just plan it out.
Or carry
it's
your
okay.
toothpaste home in your hand.
Yeah, or just that. Most people don't need that.
Serious.
Right? That's okay.
Yeah. National smoking age has gone up as well. It's 21. So remember that, kids.
Hey,
Yeah.
that's awesome.
So whenever you
That'll
see a
be
super
good.
young kid, I don't
really good.
like to even give little kids like a light, even if they look 18. I'm like, nah, you can do that yourself.
Right?
So weird. They try to catch you slipping.
Yeah, that's a bad idea.
Yeah. Going down the list more. Washington families will be able to take 12 weeks of paid leave for birth of a baby or take care of sick family members starting January 1st.
I thought that was going to happen here, too.
I thought so too.
Yeah, I don't know if they.
I think it may be taken away.
I'm not positive whether they passed that in the last legislature. I think are we 8 weeks of leave right now?
Something like that. Yeah. And I know it's not like a lot. Yeah.
So it's. I mean it's a little bit less, but I think I'm pretty sure it's slated to go up, or at the very least they're slated to take it up this year. So
That's what I thought. Shoot, I'm waiting to have a baby till this passes. So. Come on, get it together, Oregon.
That's what I'm waiting for too. Yeah, I was like, come on, man, give me some more paid leave. Let's go.
Back on the subject as well. Speaking of kids, as it says in the newspaper I'm reading from, Washington parents might have to keep their children in booster seats for longer. In 2020, kids will be required to strap into car booster seats until they're at least 4'9". There's a lot of short folks out there, so like that's gonna be big. That's gonna be a deal.
That's bad.
You know the funny thing is, it's like it says will be until they're 8 years old. But you know how that's kind of you can't enforce that from a patrol car or anywhere else. So yeah, if you got if I even thought of it interesting as like short people. Like okay, so what if somebody's you say you have a sister's
I mean,
short,
not to just
like if you're 4'8",
not to
you
throw
have
all
to
of my family members under the bus while we're here
You're
tonight.
gonna get a lot of texts after
yeah,
this
exactly.
comes out.
But my sister is like 4'11", and she's 38, and so I don't know when she hit 4'9", but I don't know. She might have been 16 for all I know. She might she's gonna have to sit in a booster seat while she's driving her car.
I was thinking, I was like, well, did you have to get a seat if you're short? Do you require to have a booster if you drive, right?
Like that is that what it is?
Maybe to reach the pedals.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a whole other thing.
Like that's a whole another conversation.
Oh, that's a
what
really
was that
good point.
movie? What was that thing with the kids? Like they had like the one kid was sitting up top driving, the other kid was down below with the sticks.
Oh wait, Little Rascals? That's Little Rascals. Yeah, that's Little Rascals.
No, but I used to have a friend who's super short, and she had to have like 2 pillows, cause like even when she lowered her seat all the way, she could reach the pedals, but then she couldn't see nothing.
Yeah.
So she had to have 2 pillows on her seat so that she could actually like properly drive.
Shout out to everybody that's under 5 feet. We see you.
Right? Yeah. Wait, just one question, real quick.
Do
What's
we?
The, yeah. The guy that says you got to be this tall to ride the roller coaster. How tall is that? Are we saying, is the state of Washington saying it's safer to go on a roller coaster than it is to ride the back of the car?
But then I see dudes like walk up. I've been to carnival and see dudes walk up with like a beard and goatee that are short. They're just like, don't you fucking disrespect me.
Yeah, like I'm getting
like,
on here. Yeah.
Get him
I'm
on.
a grown ass man.
Yeah,
I'm a
like,
grown
I don't
up.
want this scene. Yeah,
Do whatever I want with my personal safety. Get out of my way.
Little Dale's gonna ride roller coaster today. All right. Healthcare workers in Washington as well. We ain't getting nothing in Oregon. Are required to give you uninterrupted breaks and can't require you to work overtime.
That's great.
Your employer has to give you that. As an employee, that's what you get.
Yeah. That's really great. Hey, just real quick before you move on from that, we have a similar situation in Oregon. What they had in Washington is they essentially would present employees in sort of healthcare industries with waivers.
Yeah.
Right after they got hired, that said, hey, the law says that you're entitled to like this amount of a break after this period of time. We want you to go ahead and waive it. In Oregon, we actually have something similar, and it's for service industry workers.
Yeah.
So they present waivers to service industry workers. Lots and lots of places do.
I have signed one, yes.
Yeah,
There is
would
no
imagine.
such thing as a 10, 15-minute break in the service.
That's
industry.
exactly
you get
right.
laughed at if you ask for one.
And that's exactly right. And so the waiver's supposed to be voluntary, just like the one in Washington was supposed to be voluntary. But you just said it yourself. Have you ever declined to sign one of those waivers in any service industry job that you've had?
No.
Because you felt like it was almost
Part of the job.
Yeah, part of the job,
Yeah.
right? It's almost compulsory.
But I've been a veteran in the game for a long time. I know how to get set 15 minutes.
Yeah, that's exactly right. But there are a lot of people
I'd
who
take
go
like 3
in.
or 4 or 5 of them.
If that's your first service industry job, you might.
Damn, I just gave it away. Anyway.
Yeah, don't tell your employer.
You don't watch my shit anyway.
But if it's your first service industry job, you might feel, one, you might feel like that thing is mandatory, and two, you might feel like you're not part of the team if you don't sign it, right?
Yeah,
like
yeah.
you're throwing your other coworkers under the
No,
bus.
no.
And it's not supposed to be that way at all.
Yeah.
And so I think I'm happy to see that one get stripped out. I honestly think the
I was
service
wondering-
industry workers should get stripped
I
out.
was
for
wondering
workers,
how
yeah.
this would have a chain reaction to
Yeah.
other jobs because I know that exists, especially in service industry.
Yeah.
It is about 50 angry bartenders away from this happening. so.
Absolutely. Yeah, and
Yeah.
it would be nice. It'd be really, really nice to see those
Bar
waivers go.
shifts are getting
go
longer
away.
too. You know,
Yeah.
It's really like a typical 4 to 6 or like.
But
8,
that
9, 10.
explains a lot in terms of like people's attitudes and stuff. Like now I look at like people in the service industry a little differently, right? Because now I understand like if you have a little bit of an attitude, you've probably been working like a really long shift or had like
8 or 9
crappy
hours without a break.
customers. Yeah, which I didn't know.
And that's the thing. I work at a chill ass bar. Like I work at a spot where it's okay and I can do that. Like there's some places where that's like, nah, you're on that. You don't get nothing. You don't smoke.
So
You don't get
fast-paced,
nothing.
Anything.
Yeah.
You get nothing.
You're on until you're off.
Yeah,
That's exactly
you're
right.
theirs until you leave.
Yeah.
So that's what it is.
Crazy.
To round it all up, Oregon also has some new bike laws. Bicyclists are allowed to treat stop sign as yields, so you don't have to necessarily come to a full stop. I'm actually okay with that because I think it's weird, especially riding a bike around stuck. People should pay attention anyways. Also, but at the same time, that means be careful because obviously if they run through and get hit, I think that puts less blame on the driver and more on the bicyclist. So, not that when people should be getting hit, but just keep an eye out for that. Let's see. Gas tax is going up again. We're just going to skip over that. And now it's going up 2 more cents to help fund highway and bridge projects. I swear to God, if we... Okay, never mind. I am going to skip over this because I'm getting mad again. New sanitation rules are coming for food carts in Multnomah County. Property owners will now be required to provide power, clean water, and trash services.
Yeah.
Food carts will also have to be far enough apart to prevent fire from spreading.
Ooh, that
I think
happened in
that's
front
good.
of my house.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm hoping-
That one's gonna be difficult.
Yeah. I'm hoping that they give some incentives for these people to have all that stuff, though.
Yeah.
Power, clean water, and trash services. I think this is a problem because these places are already getting used like that by homeless people. So now the city is pretty much having them provide all this stuff, but this is going to have more homeless people camp out at said businesses, and if it's at a cart and it has to be sanitary and all this other stuff, this might pose a problem for the areas that have food carts.
Yeah, definitely.
So I'm hoping that the city is doing their part to ensure that this happens and helping out, because there's a lot of potential problems with this.
Yeah, and having to provide all of that stuff as a lot owner, like if you think of a landlord, right?
Yeah.
You own just like kind of a piece of property, a lot with nothing on it, and you pack it full of food carts. The having to provide all of that stuff, right? Obviously increases your cost, but the having them have to be far enough apart where a fire can't spread, like that's the real capacity,
Yeah,
right?
that's
And
true.
so that's going to reduce all that infill stuff where all of those food carts are packed in. It's gonna make it tougher for folks who run a food cart to find a spot that works.
But
for
like
them,
even
right?
That's kinda
downtown, when
crazy,
you
you
think
know?
about the blocks, what is that on Third?
Yeah.
They're literally like touching each other.
Yeah.
So if one of them hoes caught on fire, it's
Yeah.
a wrap for
Didn't something like
everybody.
that happen
gone.
not long ago? I feel like something like this happened not that long ago. It was like a food cart fire.
I don't know.
Well, there was one right in front of, like literally in my front yard where I live. There
Yeah.
used to be, there's like an empty lot now, but there used to be food carts in it. And thankfully, the cart that caught on fire was like not connected to any of the other ones because all the other ones were right next to each other. But
Yeah.
the one that caught on fire was the newest one.
Ooh.
And it wasn't connected to any of the others.
Wow.
But it was
Okay.
like full-fledged fire. Like they had to shut it down and get it up out of there. It was
Man.
kind of crazy.
That is crazy.
Yeah.
And one more thing, real quick. having food carts, like if you're a food cart owner or you're trying to move your food cart to a different pod or whatever, like that's going to, reduce the amount of spaces that you have. It's going to make it a lot tougher, right? Yeah. Think about like dispensaries are kind of in the same position. The dispensary rule is like you obviously can't open a dispensary within 1,000 feet of a school or 1,000 feet of a hospital or a daycare center or something like that, right? Yeah. The one rule that dispensary owners actually have the biggest problem complying with, you can't be within 1,000 feet of another dispensary. Wow. That's the one that makes it super difficult, right? To find some real estate that'll work for you. And so that is, if you kind of think about that in terms of the food carts, like they're gonna kind of face similar issues there when they're looking for space. I don't like that. Yeah, that's tough. Right? You want a whole dispensary row where you can choose from.
Yeah.
If you've been around to a couple of them, that's a good idea.
Yeah.
I'm saying they're not all that good, but some are great. Thank you for doing what you do.
How come you can't put a dispensary within 1,000 feet of a school, but you could put a porn shop?
I don't know. That's a really good question.
Because I fought against that at the old school that I used to work. Literally across the street, there's a porn shop on the corner.
Cobra.
Yeah, right there. You could walk out and watch children.
Not that I know, because I'm saying because I know because it's a popular story. I'm not saying.
It was a big controversy, right? When it first opened. No, it was a lot. It was a lot. Parents were like pissed.
Wow.
Yeah. And it's funny because I used to live in those apartments across the way from there, so it was interesting to see that pop up there. It's the last thing I thought would happen there. I was like,
same.
They're gone now, though. All right, we got to start closing up the show. And we come to the part of the show where we talk about dumb stuff in the world in a segment we call Whose Mans Is This?
Hey, yo, who mans is this? Oh, mans is this? Who mans is this? I need to know.
All right, as you know, there is no discrimination on this show. Everyone gets their fair share, so... Of course, this Whose Mans is a woman's.
Hey, yo, who woman's is this?
Not just any woman's. Sharon Osbourne.
Oh shit.
You know what? I'm not. I'm gonna start off by making it super simple in a sense. This is the most evil, vile woman on the planet. On the planet.
She's a mess.
So this is on a British show called I don't know. Is it a lie?
Yeah, something like that.
Is it a lie? Is it true? It's pretty much they'll tell a story. You try to figure out if it's true or not. And this was just Sharon Osbourne decides to share a story, firing her assistant after going into a fire that she caused to grab her belongings that aren't that important, and her being proud of it. And I'm kind of more disappointed everyone else on this panel that's laughing at it. Except one, you can tell some people are uncomfortable, still letting it ride. Anyways, I'm gonna let you watch this and let you be the judge.
When his hair stops.
Yes.
Yeah. It all, yes. And then I think, right, where is that other assistant?
Oh.
So I go into the guest house.
Yes.
And he's going, everything all right? And I'm like, no, house is on fire. Get out, help. Go in, get the paintings out.
It's what a personal assistant's number one job. Go into a burning building and get the art out.
Fetch that magic eye.
Yeah. The cat calendar in the kitchen, there's still 4 days to go on it.
And there were dogs, and I said, you must go in and find the dogs.
Yeah. You.
And so he was like humming and hawing, this ex-assistant. So anyway, he did get the dogs, and so the fire engines arrived. Very lovely people. And then they came, and they had this oxygen for the assistant. So then I said to him,
yes.
How very dare you? You work here, and you get more paintings out now.
You can oxygenate your blood on your own time.
And I took the mask.
You didn't take the mask off him.
I took the mask, and I put it on my dog.
Seriously? You said.
Fuck Sharon Osbourne. Good night, everybody.
Wait, so they're trying to determine whether the story is true or a lie.
Right. Yeah.
But hers is true.
It's true.
It's
yeah.
true.
That's
a
wow.
story. I could go on more. That's like I don't
That's
really.
a true story.
Yeah.
Yo, how
Who
many
does that?
surgeries has she had? Because her face looks like
it's tight. It's really tight in there. But God, how long has she been Sharon Osbourne? Like, how long has she been married to Ozzy Osbourne? So she's been rich
for centuries.
Yeah,
Look
like,
at her.
Yeah, since for centuries.
but here she's talking to him like it was like a child or like a dog at the same time. Like, you do this. Yeah. Like, this is You work for me. You're supposed to. Why is she upset? Because you burned the house down? Keep in mind, if you heard watching the early part of the clip, whole thing is that she had a candle that she was burning on like during the holiday time, whatever, on the romantic night. She got this candle as a gift. She kept it burning all night, and then she went to bed. Her and Ozzy went to bed. I'm sure they're fucked up. I'm sure they're having a night. Dumbass didn't put the candle. It doesn't matter. She's like, well, it was going, and it's supposed to have a copper bottom, but it was all cheap and it wasn't really copper. It doesn't matter. You put the candle out when you go off. That's just common sense.
Below it.
Either way, that's dumb. So she's the one who calls the fire in the house and burn it down. Let's just get that out of the way. On top of that, her first order of apparently her first priority is to go outside and get the help from the outside. He was sleeping probably because he was busy serving your ass all damn day, working his ass off, way harder than you. And so that fucking happens. So she goes in to get him to get the dogs and the paintings inside. She could just carried out that important stuff. I would have totally kicked rocks. Keep in mind, she fired him after this because because they were joking. Her and Ozzy were joking about it, and he didn't think it was funny.
He didn't think it was funny.
He was like, I almost died, and you guys are laughing. He's like, oh, how about this? You're fired. So she fired him.
Do you think that's funny?
Are you
That's
serious? That's how she fired him?
And these motherfuckers on the panel are all laughing, like,
cracking extra jokes.
And at Christmas time, no less, right? Fire your assistant at Christmas time.
Wow.
And he went in. Got
he actually did it.
From a fire.
Came out, needed some fucking oxygen so he didn't die, and you were like, get your little ass back in there and burn some more.
And you fire him because he didn't see the humor in the situation. Not that he didn't go in and get your
After
dog.
explaining he almost died, and she made that a key
think it
point
was
of story.
funny.
Oh.
Hey, yo, who romance is this?
Not for real, though. Fuck Sharon Osbourne.
Heartless.
No, they suck anyways. Don't get me started on Gene Simmons and Kiss. I hate all that era of rock and roll. Black ass motherfuckers. The fucking worst, man.
Too much acid.
Yeah,
Never recovered.
They just suck as human beings, man. Not that talented. Say what you will. That's just my opinion. You can argue about this in the comments if you will. You can do that. That's fine. Yeah. All right. Good show, everybody.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thanks for sticking it out.
For sure.
Shout out to Chase.
Yeah. Thank you, Chase. We made this happen again.
Yeah, thanks, Chase.
Awesome.
Yeah. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us. It's been an exciting, lovely time. I love doing this. And so thank you for all your support. If you would like to get a hold of us, please look us up on Facebook, Brown Table Discussions, or on Instagram. You can probably see it on the screen right now. You can hit me up on Instagram as well, Darius Quasar. Brown Table Discussions is good. Hit up by Beth.
Beth Alter Ego on Instagram, Twitter.
You want an Instagram shout out?
No, you can't hit me up on Instagram. I'm not even on there. I can't even hit you up on Instagram. I'm not even on there.
Deep sick.
Yeah, what do I do? All I have is my TikTok account. That's all I got.
Booming on TikTok.
I'm blowing up, right? Like, I'm blowing up.
Influencer?
Yeah, definitely.
Got it.
So yeah, shout out to everybody. Please hit us up, leave a comment. Anything you're interested in us talking about or doing, or some of you want us to have somebody on the show, or somebody we should probably meet up with, or anything, just let us know. We want to still be a voice for everybody. I've been really happy with the responses I got from everyone so far, and so yeah, it's helping a lot, helping me shape things, and I've gotten in touch with all of you, so a lot of you will be here soon, so that makes me very happy.
Yay.
We're building something.
Nice.
So anyways, shout out to everybody, much love to you, and we'll see you next week. Peace.
Thank you.
See you guys.
Bye, Tyler.
Yeah.